you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
You like that? You like that?
Well done, young man!
You know, sometimes when you practice, you'll set up chairs. You know, and you run through chairs just to show zones and stuff. The Viking defense looks like it's chairs.
We'll head to Buffalo, play on the road. I think the weather, of course, having spent a lot of time in Minnesota, I understand the weather pattern. Pick up the Calcutta Clipper, swings down, swings up, lakefront influence, and out. I think we'll probably have about 45-degree weather, so it will not be a typical October 31st in Buffalo.
You're breaking up, Bob.
You're breaking up.
Polad Pocket Protector Power Rankings. Cam Dantzler, what are you doing? Border battle.
I've seen enough out of Cousins, Paul. Put him on ice.
That's interesting.
I'm going to say something controversial.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting.
A dog with a note in his mouth should be able to sell those ratings. Stand up, Fordfield! Stand up!
I'm unlimited. Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited.
Mark, they can pitch. They can hit. What is with? I mean, come on.
Here we go.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Buckle up.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north.
Hold on to your hat.
This is the common man, Dan Cole.
And elevate your scrotum, my boy. The Common Man program in 5, well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Greetings, good afternoon, and ack-ack-a-dack, and dack-dack-a-ack to you and yours. I'm the Common Man, Dan Cole, and this is the worst all-sports radio station in the country, so says a former employee who funny was fired from here. I'm the Common Man, Dan Cole, radio dinosaur, La Brea tar pit. That's what the fan is to me. Someday archaeologists and paleontologists will be sifting through the rubble that will be 1600 Utica Avenue South. They'll stumble across my skeletal remains and find my cold, dead, rigor mortis-laden lips attached to this
Electra fuse or something like that?
My homework was to memorize this. That's all I had to do. That was my only homework I had for myself for show prep, was memorize the brand and model of your microphone. It's an Electro Voice RE27. And they'll find my cold, dead, rigor mortis-laden lips attached to this Electro Voice RE27 microphone. And they will say, egad. So is a commentator with an archaic communication device. We're here till 3. Our show's often been described as unprepared, uninformed, and unapologetic. We'll turn it over to Big Ticket and JG. I think JG's out today. They are poised, polished, and professional. You know, Tenneby, remember that old, I don't even remember what fairy tale it is, if it's a Mike Grimm's fairy tale or if it's Aesop's Fables, but where somebody stumbles upon a genie's lamp and they rub the lamp and the genie pops out. And the genie says, Master, you have 3 wishes. If that were to happen to me, my first wish were to be to have 3 more wishes. And that makes sense. Why would I use my 3 wishes on 3 different ones? Because if I ask for 3 more wishes, now I got 6. Well, actually, I have 5. But 6 sounds like more than 3. So then, my second wish would be that it's 12 noon on Sunday. That's how excited I am for. It ain't a showdown in Motown, but it's a showdown. It's 5-0 Minnesota in many power rankings. Power rankings ranked as the best team in the National Football League, and in one, Mike Florio ranks the Motor City Kitties as the best team in football. Something's got to give on Sunday.
Above average at that.
Is he just doing that to try to prop up sagging ratings? Because I think sometimes that's what they do in these power rankings.
That's exactly what they do. It's clickbait, it's called.
Yeah.
They oh boy, especially if it's your favorite team. And I clicked. Trust me. I'm 155, 165. I'm pushing 170, 10, and at 5'8", I shouldn't be 170 pounds, but I kind of let it get away from me. But that's another story in itself. Deuce and I will be going to the game. And it's been sort of a tradition for us to finagle. Can you look up the word finagle and see if it's actually a real word?
I don't know if I know how to spell it.
FAN, F-A-N, sort of like I guess it's the whole description of the radio station, finagle. We just try to reel people in. More on that later. Finagle, F-A-N.
I think it's F-A-N.
Is it a U?
Finagle.
Oh, it's finagle. Finagle. Oh. And what's the definition of finagle?
Finagle.
Oh,
finagle.
We've got a female pronunciation guy and a male pronunciation
guy. The other one is spelled F-E-N. This one is spelled F-I-N.
Okay.
So the F-E-N one just led me to the F-I-N one. So
I see, okay.
F-I-N-A-G-L-E.
Finagle.
And the definition is?
To trick, swindle, or cheat a person, often followed by out of. To get or achieve something by guile, trickery, or manipulation.
That's been my whole life. That describes exactly what that is. As a matter of fact, if somebody said, "What do you do for a living? What's your job title?" I'd say finagler. I've been a finagler. Exit stage left. Finaglepuss.
I think our politicians finagle a lot as well.
Yeah, if you want to do a little political thing, go ahead.
I'm talking about all of them, yeah.
No, but go ahead, weigh into it.
No,
I'm going to stay away today. I don't think it does you or me any good, but you know what? A lot of people are talking about it. The election's not far from now. A lot of people. What was I talking about? So I tried
Vikings,
to
Lions,
finagle. So I'm finagling. It's been a tradition for Deuce and I to finagle pre-game on-field passes. I don't know if you've witnessed that too. We've never been to a game. You probably know of it, but you've probably never seen. Who is that? Is that to me or to you?
No, that was my email.
I wonder if it's Donald Trump asking you to vote for him. There's some local guy that's running in Woodbury, and I think he's running for state senate or something. And he just inundates me with messages. Then there's another guy I get on my email. I don't know where he's running. I think he's a former war hero. And he basically says, well, that's it. I'm out. But if you'd like to donate anyways, I think I'll keep trying. It's just funny because he's basically saying I'm being outspent by the other side. I just don't have any money. Today it was, well, I'm drawing the curtain on my candidacy unless you can donate money and we can fight back. It's beautiful. But anyway, on field is kind of cool. You know, you're allowed like between the wall of where the stand starts and then the end zone, and it kind of wraps kind of around close to the bench. And I guess you got to be a VIP of some sort, and I guess I am. I'm an extended family member. We've done it for a couple of Motor City Kitty games in which I was able to get Deuce down there. That was the one time where Deuce and I are watching the Kitties warm up, and one of the Lions guys comes over and says, "Can you catch?" He goes, "Yeah, wait here." And Deuce looks at me and I go, "I don't know." All of a sudden, they wave Deuce in onto the field, and they let Deuce participate in pregame warm-ups. It was somebody was throwing, one of the coaches was throwing passes to the defenders. They were getting hands drills, and then the guy would catch the defensive back if he didn't drop it, which they usually do. He would catch it, and they'd throw it back to Deuce, and Deuce would catch it and hand it back to the guy. It was a thrill of a lifetime. Deuce is like 12, 13 years old. It's the coolest thing ever, and so we like doing that. So, my guy Les Lester, Bagley, he's my guy. He's the guy that helped get the stadium built. He's with the Vikings. He was the one that once described me in City Pages as he goes, my favorite personality in town is the common man, Dan Cole. He's like a stand-up comedian from L.A. Speaking of stand-up comedy, we've got plenty of shows to talk about in the not-too-distant future, though I think we're done giving away tickets. We gave away, it's the KFAN table. There'll be 8 people seated at the Chart House in Lakeville. Go to charthouselive.com, I think, if you want tickets. We might give away some more next week, particularly if ticket sales continue to be tepid. But it's a dinner show, so we'll be there. But anyways, Les says, well, it's a little late in the game, Common. I mean, it's a high-demand game. I don't know what I can do. And I said, well, don't you know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy? Don't you know the national treasure? And I dropped PA's name. Then I said, whatever you can do is great. If we can't get on before the game, we'll just storm the field afterwards. So we'll storm it out one way or the other. We're getting on the field. It should be a great tilt. We'll talk more about it. I love the message. I don't know if you saw this, Tenneby, from Brian Flores, but it's really good. A war of words, sort of, kind of. I'm not going to be that. At the beginning of football games, you go, we've got a great one coming. We don't know that yet. It could end up being an awful game, a boring game, a lopsided game. It appears that we have a really good game coming up at the bank. You'll hear it on this radio station. Coverage at 10. Be here for the boom at 12 noon. It's the 5-0 Purple hosting the 4-1 Motor City Kitties. We'll talk about that when we come back. Common Man program on the Fan.
Inflation Vacation is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head over to KFAN.com. Inflation Vacation is powered by 2 Men and a Junk Truck. And by the way, the Fan and 2 Men and a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our National Cash Contest. Just enter the keyword cash at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. The keyword is cash. Enter now.
Inflation.
KFAN.com.
Inflation Vacation. Inflation Vacation with Metallica.
Okay, Tenneby, are you more of a Siri guy or an Alexis guy?
I have Alexa at home, so we'll go with Alexa.
No, it's Alexa. Is it Alexis or Alexa?
It's Alexa.
Well, an Alexis is a car that both Marnie and Ben Lieber apparently drive. Because I'm going to, for the first time ever, I'm going to try to use a voice command thing because we have these nifty, I've never done this before.
Okay.
I'm going to press that microphone. ESPN. It just changed to
Look
ESPN.
at that. You don't ever have to ask me the channel ever again.
Golf Channel. 2024 St. Andrews Links Collegiate final round. How cool is that? Rockford Files. Look at, there it is. Look at.
Can you still get the episodes of it?
I don't know.
It's not live on television, but
show me episodes. No results found me for show me episodes.
Well, you didn't have to talk into that one. You could have just clicked on the episodes.
Yeah, but it told me, it said show me episodes. It told me to say that. But then it didn't. All right. Clear search. I cleared it. It's on Get TV, GET. GET. And now it's got Get Up. Some host Mike Greenberg. It's called The Get Up Show. Great entertainment television. No results found. We must not have great entertainment television on ours. But this is pretty cool. I'm going to go back to Golf Channel. Look at St. Andrews. Golf Channel. God, I love that. It's like having a genie's bottle. Your wish is my command. It goes to whatever station I want. Vikings. Oh, by the way, Tenneby, I guess you felt that liner by Diego about the Lynx Game 3 tonight was good enough for a montage. A lot of people are complaining. They don't know why you didn't montage it up today for the Lynx. If it were Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals with the Wild, would there have been a montage? To be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. You're not doing the things you used to do that made you good. That was a quote from a host to a producer one day. Actually, it was the host to me about the producer, and I just kind of looked at him and thought, okay, I think he's fine, but yeah. So I just wanted to say to you, Tenby, you're not doing the things you used to do that made you good. You used to do that montage. Maybe secretly you're against the WNBA. I think your mind is on halftime at the Vikings game. Or is it pregame?
Well, it's pregame.
It is pregame.
It's not halftime.
Where Ingrid will be doing a cheerleading routine.
Yeah, she's a junior cheerleader.
How sweet is that? Proud Papa. You'll be there for that. I'll see you. Look for us up there. We're going to be hanging out at the game as well. Coverage at 10, kickoff at a little after. Be here for the boom. And Kevin Seifert tweeted this, Tenby, yesterday at just after noon. So it was when we were on the air. It said, as Vikings approach Sunday's game versus Lions, defensive coordinator Brian Flores was asked today how he approaches facing an opponent with an aggressive play caller. Flores smiled and said, I try to fight fire with fire. That would be my answer. That gave me goosebumps. They're going to fight fire with fire. If you really believe that play callers are geniuses, right? Not all, but I mean that there's a real art form to it. That some guys are just so much better at scheming and putting together plays, and then not only just putting together plays, but as we say, scheming and then putting together a game plan because they've looked at film of the other. You know, let's say you're often let's say you're Ben Johnson, and it's Tenby. If I were to use one word to describe a Brian Flores defense, it would be crazy. His scheme is crazy. So if you're Ben Johnson, you're looking at it, you're going, I know they say there's not a lot of tendencies here because they do so many different things. They got guys up at the line, guys not at the line, some guys at the line, rush, other guy blitz.
Disguise.
Disguise. Other guys drop back into coverage, and they do a lot of one-on-one, and they'll do some cover two, and they're just, you really never know what you are going to get from a Brian Flores defense. And then as Brian stated a couple of weeks ago, he said, it's really not my defense, it's the players. They have full authority to make any changes pre-snap that they see fit because I can't make them that quick from the sideline. They have to look and see, this is what we see with the offense. And from our film study and our game plan and knowing our opponent, this is what we think they are going to do. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But if you're watching Ben Johnson, if you believe in all this, he's probably seen a couple of things that he thinks are tells. They're going, I know this will work when they're doing that, and that won't work, and this won't work. And the same thing with Brian Flores. They're breaking down film. They're looking at the lines, particularly, I suppose, that Dallas game, because that was their best offensive performance. And again, I'll mention it now, and then I'm going to probably get a text message about a half hour. Dallas was missing 4 of their guys. I know that, and I'm going to say it now. Dallas, I think, was missing 4 starters, including Micah Parsons, one of the best defensive players in pro football. But the Lions' offense was very good, so I'm sure they're breaking down the film and going, there's this, there's that, watch for the trick play. We know they're going to go for it on 4th down a lot. Here's what they generally like to do on 4th down. This is what we should expect, but they could throw some trickeration. But if you're into that kind of a thing, we call it a chess match. This should be really good because both coordinators are very highly regarded in what they do. And it should be fun. And then, O'Connell is considered a bright young mind in the game. And everybody a lot of people like Danny Campbell because he likes to bite kneecaps off. And if you're looking for the Lions, you won't have to look far. We'll be on your porch outside your front door. So some real personalities are brought to it as well. And it's 2 really good football teams. And we talked about this, Tenby, leading up to the game. We've been talking about it all week pretty much. You have statistically, and not just statistically, but results. If not the best defense in pro football, one of the best defenses in pro football in the Minnesota Vikings. And you have one of the best offenses in pro football in the Motor City Kitties. They got a lot of weapons. It should be a great game. I do think the Hutchinson thing that's a dark cloud over the Kitties. I don't know how they're going to react to that. There's been no indications that they've at least that I've seen as of, I guess I didn't check this morning. Are there any rumors about the Lions maybe trying to make a move to try to get an edge rusher through a trade or someone that maybe has been retired for a year or two? Because I've been seeing some stories of people say, well, there goes their playoff chances. They're basically saying by missing Aiden Hutchinson, you may as well just board up the litter box for the rest of the season. And I'm not I'm not ready to go that far, but
it's a significant loss.
It's a significant loss.
Offensively, they should still be able to put up points on most teams. And, defensively, they're probably going to have some more issues. I'd like to think, especially if Aaron Jones is healthy, that the Vikings are going to be able to move the ball relatively easily against Detroit. But their offense should be able to keep them in every game they're in.
I would think. You would think so, unless you're playing B-Flo. Tenneby, let's just sort of on this hump day. Well, let's take a break. Let's have some fun. Let's do what did Tenneby and what did Common think will happen on Sunday. I've got some thoughts on what's going to happen. And I also have some other numbers that if you're excited about what the Vikings have done to this point, wait to get a load of these numbers. You're going to be planning your parade route, where you're going to sit on the parade route for that big game World Championship parade coming up in February. We'll do that next. Common Man program on the Fan.
Two of the biggest names in folk rock as they take the stage together. Don't miss out when the Avett Brothers and Trampled by Turtles.
Trampled by Turtles.
Co-headline the XL Energy Center on October 24th. Tickets are still available for this incredible show. For more info and to get yours today, head over to KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
What if the Vikings were to get out to a 2-touchdown lead on Sunday?
I think it's best if they just keep it scoreless for as long as possible.
What if it was announced today that the Lions had signed Aaron Donald, the just retired Aaron Donald, to play for their club? I don't even know if they could do that. And once you retire, can you play for anybody you want? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know what his contract status is.
The Lions need help. They need help defensively. Tenneby, you're familiar with Nostracommonus. It's
yes,
an alter ego of mine that I never even knew I had. It all started. We haven't opened for it. No need to play it now. But where
it would take up the entire segment.
Exactly. I woke up with a headache. I was rubbing my temples, and this was, you can ask the capable Carl Allen. He and I, we started our careers here at the Fan together, and we did a radio show. He did mornings at WLKX in Forest Lake, and I was the news and sports director. So twice an hour, I do news one time and sports another time. And so we would twice an hour talk, just do the chit-chat of, hey, we welcome, Dan Cole, Diamond Dan. Dan, what's going on in the news? We had chit-chat back and forth. I predicted that the Twins would win the World Series in 1991. This was after finishing last the year before, and they went on to win. That was my first Nostracommonus, and there have been many since then. I didn't even remember this one, and while it's not exactly right, I think the emailer... I still think this is a good example, sort of Nostracommonus. It says common. Because I'm a sicko of a rube, I make notes of some of your predictions. He jots these down to, he takes notes. Now, maybe it's just mental notes, but he does take notes. He goes, the ones that aren't super ridiculous laugh out loud. So I guess I make some super ridiculous ones. I don't ever remember making any of those, but that's what he says. Here is yours from 10/4/2022. October 4th, 2022. That's how many years ago? A little over 2 years ago. You said when Rodgers was in his last year with the Pack, it was a Tuesday, so maybe you were partially just trying to get Rosie going. He said, hopefully Tennant can find the clip or just redo it for a bit. Here was my prediction at about 2:15. Rodgers will be a Patriot within 2 years and Devontae will join him. Now, it's not
pretty close.
It's not the Patriots. It's same division and a team that's needy, and he brought Devontae Adams with him or signed him. So it's uncanny. I don't have any more information than anybody else does. It's just sometimes these things just, boom. They're like premonitions. They're like visions. I am the seer without fear. So very similar as Eric says, pretty dang close, I'd say. Different team, but same division, and only 11 days past the 2-year mark. Nice work, me boy. Keep up the mediocre work. Member of the Commonwealth. since 96. That's how long Eric has been around. So I appreciate him bringing that to my attention. And I don't know how much of a difference it will make for Green Bay. I guess I have to try something for the Jets. I guess I have to try something. It certainly isn't going anywhere like they thought it would. Remember last year he got hurt for a series. Was that a preseason game or a regular season game when he got hurt in the first series?
Regular season.
So he got hurt. They never got to see. So they're running it back. And is the Jets owner Woody Johnson? Does that sound right? My guess is he was all in. The Jets haven't been to a big game since they won it all back in 68, 69 with Broadway Joe. I don't think Woody's owned the team that long. I'm sure there was somebody else. But, I would use another poker term that I'm actually stealing from Chad Graff. Okay. Who used to write for the Athletic. Okay. The what? At least here locally, now he covers the New England Patriots. The what? The Athletic. What's that? It's an online, basically like sports newspaper. You can, whatever team you want to follow, you can just get. Do you need a prescription for it? You do need a prescription. I think I'm going to get a prescription for it. I'll read it twice a day and then call a doctor. You and I should be getting a free prescription for how much attention we give them. I agree. But he used another poker term that I think is 100% correct after the trade. He said the Jets were pot committed. Okay. So in poker, right, you might have a certain amount of chips you've already invested into the pot. Mm-hmm. Someone goes over the top of you and goes all in. You have the worst hand, but because you've already invested so much money and there's maybe a couple outs you can have, right? I can still hit a runner, straight here or a flush. Right. That I'm still going to pay off and put money in the pot because percent math wise, I have to go in. So the Jets are pot committed. They've already invested so much in Rodgers and this group, even though they were 2-4, you just have to keep shoving all the chips in. You did a nice job in describing what pot committed is. I hope you were talking to the audience, not me, because if they didn't call it Hold'em, what would they call it? They'd call it common. You are correct. So I'm accustomed to putting in chips at the worst of the hands, so I'm very familiar with being pot committed. I've told you before, and I know it's an old line, but when I sit down at the poker table, I would always could somebody remind me before we start, does a flush beat a straight? I just like saying that. It's so good. I just did blow my own horn about the Nostracommonus. I was wondering what I was going to get into, and then I was about to repeat myself, which I don't do very often. Someone said, don't fool yourself. Vikes win by 21. Good Nixon impression. I am not a crook. I am not a crook. Someday, my dog Checkers. I would be surprised if it's a blowout either way. Though if I were going to pick a blowout, I'd probably pick Vikings. They have jumped on every team right out of the gate, and that's why they've only trailed for a grand total like 3 minutes, 26 seconds in 5 games. I mean, I wonder, there must be somebody that actually sifts through these things. Like there was the Wild goalie, Gustafsson, gets a goal last night. Somebody has to research this. And maybe it's really simple. Maybe it's easy nowadays with Siri and Alexis and everyone else, but it's like, and the Google machine. Yeah, 18th goalie to do it, right? I think it was the 15th goalie to do it, because a couple of them have done it multiple times. So 15th goalie to do it. It's been done 18 times. Somebody's done it 3. Somebody's done it 2. He's now done it 1. It was only the 5th time or something that's been done on a power play. Somebody had to look that up, and then the other one they had to look up. He's only the 2nd Swedish goalie to do it. I didn't see that one. Yeah, it's like how far can you break? And he was the first in Wild history to do it. Right? Why? I would want to break it down even further to say the first person with the number 30 or whatever he wears on his back, or the third with number 30. The first person who's under the age of 27. The first person under the age of 27 or whatever would be the first right-handed or left-handed or 8th left-handed or right. I mean, how far could you break that record down? The first with brown hair or blonde hair. Height and weight. Yeah, height and weight. He's the lightest goaltender to ever do it, or the heaviest goaltender. Or it's just, and I guess those are all part of the record, I guess, because if you're going to have a record, you have to have a record, and you have to say what you broke or what you tied or whatever. But I found it rather humorous, and I wouldn't want that job. So I don't know how they break down. They've only trailed for 3 minutes, 28 seconds. That's, but I wonder what the NFL record for that, if that is a record through 5 weeks. of a National Football League season, because that's the Vikings have, other than they were behind the Giants, was at 3-0. Other than that, they've never had to come from behind. And, it would be interesting to see, let's say, as a test for the club, because I don't think a win or a loss for either team ends either season. Well, the Vikings lost a game, now it's going to be over. We're going to lose a bunch in a row. Or if the Lions were to lose, where you go, now they're 4-2, it could be over for them. But I do think it's a game that at least starts. You what's the word I'm looking for? It's sort of like you set up camp. You dig in and say, this is who we are and this is where we've been. What would be interesting to see, now if you're a Vikings fan, you probably don't want to see this, but we're doing this from objective, not subjective. If the Vikings were to fall behind early, let's say Vikings win the toss, they defer. Let's say the Lions just go right down the field and score a tutty. Let's say Vikings go 3-and-out. Lions get it again, go 14-0. Now we'll see, is this team capable with Sam Darnold from coming from behind, a team that the running game has been really good when Aaron Jones has been in there. But does that move for Akers lead you to believe that Aaron Jones isn't going to be ready this week? Or do you think that was a move they would have made no matter what?
It might just be like a long-term Aaron Jones had a history of being questionable in the inner report, and something can pop up at any time.
So, but it will be interesting to see another part of the game that'll be fun to watch. And again, this is all statistically, and as we talk about Tennessee, just because something's happened last week or the week before, even several weeks in a row, it can change. But the Vikings have, I think, the top-rated defense against the run. I don't think the Lions have, statistically the best rush offense in football, but it's a very good running team because they mix a couple of different players. They got Montgomery, who's more of a bruising back, can break a lot of tackles, and he's got a little breakaway speed. I mean, he can run a little bit. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's very swift, very elusive, very quick. Be interesting to see how that Lions running game goes against the Vikings. So they're and then with Darnold having kind of struggled in the second halves against Green Bay, and then again last week against what did we
Jets.
beat? The Jets. Be interesting to see if against a Lions team that's missing the guy who was leading the league in sacks, quarterback pressures, and some other meaningless statistic. How if they were able to rebound against what is it? I know the Lions defensively the first 3 weeks held their opponents to some smaller numbers, but Seattle moved the ball at will. Dallas didn't, but I think Dallas is just a complete mess. But the Lions defense has been better than I expected. So there's a lot of different moving parts in the game and a lot of different things to look at. Yeah, I'm not fool. I would be stunned if the Vikings won by 21 or the Lions won by 21, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think both teams are capable of that. And the way the Vikings have played, it's hard not to believe. It really is, because it's been 2 weeks. Or they got lucky in a couple of games. There were some botched plays by the other team. They've made most of their breaks.
But even if you do believe, and I think most Vikings fans probably do at this point, given they haven't lost and they've beaten really good teams in the process, even if you still believe, like, NFL teams at some point, and even not just in the NFL, any sport, they're going to have a clunker at some point. You can still be a really, really good team and still have a poor performance at some point. And you just wonder how long, especially with the bye week going now, maybe that stops the momentum a little bit. I don't know, but I feel like they're just due to not have a good game at some point, and they're playing a team in which you have to play well to beat them.
I'll answer that, Tennessee, with I'll counter with this. I've used this before. It's still one of my favorite quotes in all the sports. Jerry Cooney was a heavyweight contender back in the 80s, right? He knocked everybody out. Kid from Long Island, New Jersey. They were calling him the Great White Dope, or Great White Hope, right? Everybody he fought, he's knocking out first or second round, could punch with either hand, right? And that's leading up to a showdown with Larry Holmes, right? For the heavyweight championship of the world. They eventually fought. Cooney did well, but Holmes was the superior fighter and stopped him in the 13th round. I watched at the Blue Max Bar in Great Falls, Montana, while doing mescaline. and drinking heavily. So I don't remember the fight really very well. I just know it was a whole multicolored galaxy of uppers and downers and screamers and laughers. But anyway, Cooney had never really been tested. Nobody had ever hit him. And Jerry, Dennis Rappaport, and what was Jones's first name? Was it Dennis? No, Dennis Rappaport and whatever Jones' name were. They asked that those were the guys that they were the not Cooney's corner, but they were the guys that promoted him. They were his promoters, right? The people that handled the business issues and stuff like that. And a reporter once asked one of them and said, "Well, can Cooney take a punch?" And his answer was, "Well, maybe we'll never know." And so maybe we'll never know if maybe the Vikings never will have a clunker. Maybe they will come out this week. They'll go ahead and they'll win the toss. They'll defer. They'll force the Lions out on a 3-and-out. It'll be 4th and 17. They'll sack. They'll give it to Montgomery the first play. No gain. They'll try a screen pass. They'll let out the flat to Laporta. Stopped after a 1-yard gain. Goff sacked on 3rd down, and it's 4th and 17, and the Vikings march down and score, and they win. How do we know what? Maybe they're that good, Teddy.
Well, at some point over 17 games plus playoff games, they're going to take a punch at some point. Now, I guess you could argue if they've maybe taken a jab or two. They haven't taken an uppercut. They haven't taken a knockout punch, but there have been times in some of these games. San Francisco game comes to mind. I feel like even Green Bay and the Jets game where they had a big lead. Those teams started to come back. We started getting some jabs thrown at us.
Yep.
And we needed a drive on offense to settle things down and get us back in. And basically, Sam Darnold has done it every time. He's led them on drives every single time after they've taken some jabs. They haven't taken the uppercut yet, though.
No, they've not. They've not been stunned. They've not had to get up from a knockdown.
Yes.
It's not like controlling the game, controlling the fight, and getting knocked down. This text messenger says, "Yo, Common, Lions rushing offense ranks 4th in the NFL." I didn't know where they ranked, but we know they have a very a multifaceted, dangerous running attack. So, yeah, it'll be the 4th-ranked run game against the 1st-ranked defense against the run.
Well, and I specifically think, and we talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago with B-Flo's defense, that I thought eventually a team is just going to, like, you can scheme all you want, but if you have a running game that can just pound it and pound it and pound it, and just my guy's going to block your guys and you're going to move the ball, like, you can only scheme that so much from a defensive coordinator standpoint. Detroit does have the ability, I think, specifically with David Montgomery and that offensive line to be like, hey, we're going to be a run-first offense, and we're just going to pound it, and try to wear your defense out.
Would you expect the Lions to do that?
I think they're going to. I think David Montgomery is going to touch the ball a lot, assuming game script doesn't go against them.
Yes, right.
Assuming, like every other Vikings game where they've been up multiple scores in the first half, as long as that doesn't happen, yes, I think Montgomery's going to touch it a lot.
And as much as I love trickeration, here's what if you're a Lions fan, what you would fear is you're running the ball pretty good. Let's say you start out and you're moving the ball, but then you want to show everybody, because these offensive coordinators got
which Campbell and Ben Johnson like to do that.
Yep. So all of a sudden we're going to have Goff flip it behind him to Montgomery. He's going to throw it across the field to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He's ladders.
He's going to throw it back across the field to Laporta. Then Laporta's going to pitch it back to Goff, and Goff's going to hit, who's the really fast guy?
Jamison Williams
is going to be wide open for a tutty. And you start doing that garbage, and all of a sudden somebody drops the ball. Loose ball, Vikings football. Because some of these guys do like to think they're the smartest guys on the field, right? Watch me. Watch this play. The Lions, they just did what would you call that, a double flea flicker? It was Goff, flipped it to... It went from Goff on a handoff, I think.
So was that to Amon-Ra?
Yeah, and then it went to somebody else, and it went back to Goff.
Laporta was got it.
And Laporta was wide open and dove in for a tutty. But
I know the keys to stopping the Detroit offense. You need Goff to be off.
I would agree with that.
You got to stick Gibbs in the ribs.
Yeah, that would be, if you stick Gibbs in the ribs, he's gonna slow down.
And then you got to get Brown to the ground.
And then you've got to get Hutch on a crutch. Well, he already is. I guess that's a bad joke. Oh, he's a tough guy. He'll be okay. It's part of, going in, you could have crippling injuries. So, it should be fun. This one says, Lions are so good with the lead because they can run the ball so well. Vikings are great with the lead because they can rush the passer so well. Yeah, and someone else says, both teams play well with leads. They do. Some teams don't, I guess, but most teams, once you get the lead, you feel pretty good about it. Yeah, I think, I do think I would say this, though. By the way, is Cashman in or out? Is he out?
We don't know about him.
We still don't know yet.
Doesn't sound good.
Doesn't sound good. And he's had a great start to his Purple career. He's been instrumental in that defense playing as well as they have.
And he wears the green dot.
And he wears the green dot. And then, and again, we still don't know about Aaron Jones, right? Are we getting a feel at all? Does this mean anything? Did the coach meet with the media? Is that today?
Well, I'm guessing we're going to learn more today because was it yesterday or Monday where Aaron Jones was at practice, but it was very light and it didn't really mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
It was like a bonus practice.
Yeah, it is. So anyways.
But at the very least, like, given he was on the field the other day, it's not probably going to be something he was out for 3 to 4 weeks. Right? Like,
correct.
He might not play this game, but I would think he'd be here soon.
Yeah, I would think you're right. Here's those numbers I got.
And they know how big this game is, too. I mean, this is, NFC North Division Championship implications on the line here.
Yeah. Season's on the line. Get back. This is from one of those, I think it's called Purple for the Win. I don't know who puts it. Is this a fan who started his own
any
Twitter? Right.
And
I see this one all the time. And my dear friend, Eric Eskel of The Scarf, who is a legendary newsman for WCCO Radio, he helps me with the show, with my show prep. He knows I like to golf a lot, and he knows that I'm not going to always see things that are out there, and I don't follow
some of the
Twitter.
stuff he passes along is fake news, but other than that,
that's true, and some of it's real. And this one is from Purple for the Win, and it says Minnesota Vikings headed into Week 7. And these are per Pro Football Focus power rankings. They have an 87% chance to make the playoffs, 44% chance to win the division, 16% chance to win the conference, 7% to win the big game. They're projected to win 12.1 games. Third hardest schedule to date. Now they have the 13th easiest remaining schedule. If you believe in these numbers, and it's not that I don't, it's just that things can change quickly in the National Football League. If you'll remember, Tennessee, the Vikings have, in the last, decade or so, have had a 5-0 start and a 6-0 start, and in both cases, they failed to make postseason. They also were, 1-4 last year, and then rallied back before Cousins got hurt, and they got above 500. And there was another year, I think, where didn't they go to 6-4, or was that last year? Where they had a slow start to the season, and they won 4 or 5 games in a row. And so things can change so rapidly, but these numbers, at least, this is what they are. These numbers, whether you believe the percent, I don't even know how they come up with the percentage to make the playoffs. I don't know what kind of formula they lose, but these are very encouraging.
That's what I love about Rosen is I made a bet with him yesterday that if he just went across the border into Wisconsin or Iowa, he'd get much better odds.
Right.
But he still gets suckered into making the bet with me.
He doesn't know where the Wisconsin border is, though. That's the problem.
Well, yeah.
That's his
it's too far away. It's very remote. There's not many grocery stores over there.
Well, you are absolutely correct. And, of course, he'd have to take a selfie of himself making the bet. We'll take a break. We'll come back. 5-3-4 at the top of the hour. 10, what you got?
Yeah, it's going to be a Caitlin Clark-type crowd tonight in Minneapolis.